Please, Matthew Stafford, be okay. I'm a little concerned, but we're on to number 4, the Los Angeles Rams. A very good football team that is very well coached. Couple of concerns, though, with the injuries specifically. And let's start with the offensive line, though, here, which is very good. They were good in preseason so far as well. Aldrick Jackson dealing with some health issues right now, and hopefully everything's okay, and they'll be ready to go at some point during the season. Might start the season off on the PUP list, which will mean guys like David Quisenberry or DJ Humphreys are in all likely going to have to step up for this football team to protect Matthew Stafford or Stetson Bennett or Jimmy Garoppolo, of course. So the tackle position ranked as number 18th for me. It's just kind of factoring in some of the injuries too with that positional grade. Rob Avenstein on the other side, it's getting a little bit older now too. Maybe do a little bit more regression there. However, he's still been very solid when he's been out on the football field, and obviously a team captain too. So this is a good, solid tack room. And if they can stay relatively healthy, they should be in a good stand. You got Warren McClendon too to figure to be their 5th tackle. Now, KT Leverston, also a good chance that there's at least a possibility he makes the roster. He's going to be fighting with some of these veterans out here, like David Quisenberry, I'm imagining. On the interior, this is where it gets a lot of fun too with some young talent. You got Steve Avila, Kevin Dotson, Coleman Shelton, more the veteran here at the center position for them, which I rank the center position at 21. But the guard position is looking really, really strong. And then some of these guys, like Bo Limmer is going to be their main swing guard. I just listed these guys up at center, but Bo Limmer is going to be more or less their main swing guard. Dylan McMahon going to be competing with a roster spot. But my thing is Willie Lampkin. This guy's unbelievable. Even though he's 5'11", I hope he makes the roster. I really do. I think it'd be foolish at this point if he does not make the roster. He's pancaking dudes, and he can hold up to the strength. He's shown that. It just comes down to you believe in the outlier sort of thing. Like, you got to look past that. And if there's one team that is willing to look past that, it's the Los Angeles Rams. It's the reason why I'm sure they picked him up. I'm really rooting for Willie Lampkin. His film is so good. It's just the size thing. Make him a fullback. I don't care. Utility fan, whatever you want to do. But yeah, you got to make this guy on the roster. You got Justin Delgich will also be competing here, and he knows the system. So Dedich has a real good opportunity to make the roster as well. However, with that being said, I really do hope Willie Lampkin makes the roster. My guess is they keep 9 to 10. And then moving on to the wide receiving core, which looks really good. I rank them at number 3 in the NFL. You got Puka, you got Devontae Adams, a 1-2 punch. You got Tutu at number 3 for this wide receiving tandem. And then you got some good depth as well behind. That's another reason why they rank this room pretty high. X-Man, not talking about Dez Bryant. I'm talking about Xavier Smith. Woo, he looked good in week 1 of preseason. Technically week 2 of preseason. But Smith looking really, really good out there with that chemistry with Bennett. Jordan Whittington didn't play in week 1. However, he will be factored in as the season goes on. And when you look at Sean McVay, if you don't play in week 1, it means you're a roster lock. And Whittington, for in his own standing, is a good wide receiver. He doesn't need to be out there trying to, no injuries, right? Now, you're going to have competition with Conte Munford, who I've heard has had a great camp. He had a couple of misses. He had that one drop, and then he had the one play that resulted in the interception. It's just an overthrow any which way. Like, Munfield's going to have to compete, right? Him and Smith, if they only keep 5 wide receivers, then this is going to be tricky. Like, personally, I would keep Xavier Smith, at least at the moment. We shall see how he looks. And this might be pre-recorded before the probably actually will when it comes out. So we'll see how Munfield does. Any which way, Brendan Presley's probably going to be on the practice squad is my guess, and through like guys like Mario Williams, Drake Stoops, all those guys. But Presley is a good return man for this roster. However, they have Smith and he can return. So I feel like that they can just roll with Xavier Smith and let him be the 4th, 5th wide receiver while at the same time returning punts and kicks. On to the tight end room, I rank it at 27th. They don't have a superstar, and they've had some injuries. Tyler Higbee should be good to go this year, though. So getting Tyler Higbee back is going to be nice. Colby Parkinson, Terrence Ferguson as he develops. You got Davis Allen. My guess is they keep 4 tight ends, especially with the way that they're talking about using more 12 personnel this season. So if they want to use more 12 personnel, my guess is they keep 4 tight ends, and those 4 guys would make a lot of sense on the roster. Practice squad guys, with Anthony Torres getting injured, I think that leaves Mark Redmond as the main practice squad candidate for this tight end room. And I think that'd be a good idea. So I think their tight end room's looking solid all around. Like, it's not a concern to me. Do they, like I mentioned before, do they have a superstar? No, but they're fine. And Terrence Ferguson could develop into a superstar. So definitely watch out for him. I liked him as a Ducks fan. On to the running back room, which I rank at 19th. I know that seems a little low, doesn't it? For a good running, they're really deep. That's the one thing. I'm not worried. Let's say Kyron Williams does get a little banged up. They are really good in terms of their depth. They drafted Jarquez Hunter in the 4th round. from Auburn. That guy he is way better than people were kind of, because Auburn, I just felt like this season was underrated in general with some of the football players that came out of there. Like there's some really good talent. Yeah, the football team in general has struggled, but Jarquez Hunter, a good football player. I was saying about Lambert Smith. I think Lambert Smith was super underrated. Jarquez Hunter, another one of those guys that kind of went under the radar. And I really think he's going to add some much needed help for this football team in the receiving game as another slasher back for this offense. And then you got Ronnie Rivers going to be competing with Cody Schrader. I think Schrader might have won that job, at least after this past preseason game versus the Cowboys. He was running hard. That man runs really hard. So as another bowling ball back behind Blake Corum, I think that would make sense. Even though Rivers has great special teams ability, and you can't knock that, and that continuity is important. So that's a big factor for them. But Cody Schrader, man, he's looking good. So put on to the elephant in the room, Matthew Stafford. What is going on with that back right now? Please, 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 Matthew Stafford. He's a guy that, remember, he's been a gladiator throughout his career. He's taken so much punishment going back to the Detroit Lions days. I get it, all right? And that's why this team has probably been looking at trying to find the future at quarterback, and you're hearing rumors and stuff like that of Stafford retiring. He has taken so much punishment throughout his career. He's an elite quarterback, though. In my eyes, I rank him as a superstar. He's a top 10 quarterback very easily. I have him at number 8. Very, very good player. Nothing wrong with that. It's the injury concern with Stafford. And if he is injured, what are they going to do? Jimmy Garoppolo, sure, I think Garoppolo can fill in, and maybe Stetson Bennett after the Dallas Cowboy game. I'll tell you right now, he looked like a totally different player than what I've seen from Stetson Bennett. So that is really reassuring. I think they'll keep 3 quarterbacks, especially if Bennett has another good preseason game, and I fully expect him to be rostered. However, do I feel like he's ready to start in the NFL? No. So Garoppolo, I would guess, would be the full-time backup here. And if that were the case, who knows? Maybe even a Kirk Cousins sort of thing. I know that's probably not something you guys are wanting to hear or anything like that. It just depends on certain things and whatnot. Ultimately, though, hopefully Stafford is healthy and ready to go, because if he is, this is a championship team. Let's go on to the defense now and start with the defensive line and the engine to this defense, I would call it. The edge room ranked at 15th, and the interior defense line ranked at number 1. I said number 1. It was a tough call between them and the Eagles. They were both my 1 and 2s here, respectively. I gave the nod to the Rams. I love Braden Fisk, Kobe Turner, Poona Ford. That combination of 3 guys is just so electric. It's so good. And Poona Ford's going to add not just great run stopping ability, but he can also get after the passer. Braden Fisk, and he can improve his run defense this season, but as a pass rusher last season, obviously what he had an impact was huge as a rookie. Kobe Turner, super underrated. He's a guy that can play all over the defense line because he can stop the run at a high level, and that may be more of his underrated element. And he can get after the passer, of course, but he can stop the run too. So that group of 3 is so good. And you got Ty Hamilton, Dejon Johnson, Tyler Davis. Davis figures to be their main 4th guy. And then you have a steep competition between Johnson, Hamilton, and Murchison if they only keep 5 guys. My guess is they go with the draft pick and Ty Hamilton. However, if they want to keep 6, then you have a conversation between Murchison and Johnson. Do they want to go more of another run defender in Murchison, or do they want another situational pass rusher in Johnson? That's really what it would come down to if they kept the 6 defensive tackle. Now, edge-wise, great. You got Jared Verse, so feel really good about this edge room. Byron Young, solid. You got Hosea Stewart already making his impact felt in the Dallas Cowboys game, getting himself a sack. His motor level's on a different, it's on 9,000. You got Braden Jackson there. I think he's got a good chance of making the roster. He's another dude that from Washington State was a really good football player, and he made a good impact last season. He'll be competing, though, with Kyer Thomas and Nick Hampton. My guess is, though, Jackson is pretty much a lock at this point. Thomas and Hampton are really the guys competing for a 5th spot here to me. Hampton might have the edge in terms of special teams. Thomas, to me, has the edge in terms of his play, maybe, at least at this point. So we'll see what wins out at the moment. The defensive line, though, looks really good. Linebacking room, yeah, we're good at 25th. I ain't worried. I'll be honest, especially the way their scheme works and stuff. Like, they don't ask their linebackers to do any crazy coverage one-on-one schemes or something like that. And here is the guy that I think is the most underrated linebacker, one of the most underrated players in the NFL, the Hitman, Nate Landman. And there is some bias. I got to state my bias because he's one of those dudes I've had a draft crush on coming out of Colorado. His instincts are insane. Yes, he doesn't have the elite athleticism, but he always knows where the football is. Like, that's the thing with Nate Landman. He's going to be the green dot in here for this linebacking room. He'll be that leader, get everyone set, exactly what they need. One of the best signings. You got Omar Spikes next to him, good as a rookie. It's going to be a good 1-2 punch. You got Troy Reader, the veteran in the room. I think he's got a really good chance just because they may want that veteran in the room. We shall see, though. He's going to be competing with Sean Dolak to me for if they only keep 4 linebackers. It's going to come down to Dolak and Reader. Personally, I would keep Dolak. I think the upside there with Dolak is really good, especially with his coverage ability and athleticism. So that's just something I have to keep an eye on. You got Chris Paul Jr., who is also a lock and had a good game versus the Cowboys. So I think they've got a really good tandem of Spites, Landman, and Paul, and then some depth with Reader and Dolak, depending if they only keep one of those guys. I'd go with Dolak, man. I really like Dolak from Buffalo. That guy can play. On to the cornerback room, which I rank at 25th. Yeah, there's some deficiencies here. You got some age limiting factors with Killer Witherspoon and Dorius Williams, so maybe some injury concerns with those guys. Quentin Lake, I'll mention him in the safety room as well as in the corner room. He mainly played in the slot, so I go ahead and list him here. He'll be able to play on both sides of the football, though, or on both positions of football. Hey, he might be able to play both sides, too. You never know. Give him a little chance. You got Kobe Durant, who I like a lot. I thought he was actually their best cover man last year, just strictly one-on-one. You got Emmanuel Forbes coming in here. It'll give him some good depth. But that's not where it stops. So I might even have to up this cornerback room with some of the younger guys that they have out here that were super impressive in the Cowboys game. Maybe it was just, one game. We got to see more of it, so I don't want to overreact too much. But A.J. Green looked good. You got Cam Lampkin, who was really the star in that game. Obviously had that crazy interception, that deep ball in the end zone. He really, I don't know how he located the football and was able to turn to that, but had a great play there. And it was good, too, in coverage throughout the game. You got Josh Wallace, a tenacious guy there in the slot. You got Charles Wood, another tenacious guy that can be a great depth player. And if they want to play Quentin Lake up and down, then one of those guys certainly has a real good chance to starting them up. And as I mentioned, between Wallace and Woods, that's a tough competition for who ends up determining that backup slot role and who wants to make it there. And ultimately, I do think they keep 6 corners in the room. Safety room, and as I just mentioned before, Quentin Lake, I do factor in a little bit into the safety room in terms of the grade. At least a little nudge, right? But in its own right, like Cam Kitchens, going to year number 2, Cam Curl, you got Jalen McCullough, good solid group of 3 right there. So in general, I still would rank this as a very, very solid room. And you got Nate Vicarsel, to me, would be the best guess. 4th guy out of this room. I like him out of Northern Illinois. That guy was making some plays there in Northern Illinois. So watch out for him. He could be the sleeper in this room and somebody that kind of comes, if you're looking for the guy that comes from nowhere that the Rams always seem to get, Nate Vicarsel could be that guy. So if they keep Vicarsel, that would be 4 safeties. If you want to factor in Quentin Lake into the room as well, then that would be 5. So that's a decision that they're going to have to make. However, I would try to keep Nate Vicarsel. Maybe he'd be more of a practice squad candidate. Like he definitely would be a practice squad candidate if they feel comfortable that they can let him go to the waivers. Overall, that's really the only thing that I would say. But this safety room looks good to me. I think it's a really good room. They got versatility too on that defense. Coaching staff wise, I rank them at number 2 in the NFL, just behind the Chiefs, who are number 1. It's hard to really make any. I mean, you got Sean McVay. That guy is just on a different level in terms of his understanding of the game. I think he can name things from like 20 years in his past. He could probably name things as a baby. Who knows? He remembers that guy as a whiz and an unbelievable coach, obviously. And Michael Floor has been a solid OC. Chris Shula has been able to fill in. And ultimately, this coaching staff, there's really not many knocks to this room. They're very, very good. Leads me on to the record prediction, which I got them going 11-6. So they were a wild card team that kind of came up there, beat some teams. They earned their way into the conference championship. I do have them losing in the conference championship. I could see this team struggling early in the season, maybe, especially with the injuries, if Stafford's not 100%. And then hopefully by midseason, they start turning the corner like they did last year in many ways. And then they get on a roll, and then they could really make a run, right? They were right there with the Eagles. They could have easily beaten them too. So it was neck and neck. They should have just kept the no huddle going too. I feel like that was working for them versus the Eagles, and they were able to hold up that pass rush. So let me know what you think though, Rams fans. I hope you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you later.